Usually we'd say you've made a great choice or a poor choice or whatever. This one is the very middle of the road choice. Right. So if you pride yourself on being even, then this was the choice for you.
And there is no more better figure to represent this than the even-keeled, even-tempered Leonardo. This is an interesting figure. He falls in between somewhere in there.
Yeah.
There's several reasons we're going to go into a little bit more in the review. So stick with Splinter's direct orders and join us for the review. If you get all these references, God bless you.
Yes.
Okay, guys, and here we have a closer look at Leonard the Turtle, Leonardo. So let's go ahead and start right off by talking about the articulation. Now, with Leonardo, you're going to find the exact same points of articulation that you see with the other Ninja Turtles. We've got just a hinge up here at the elbow. It goes pretty far, so he can get his arm at a pretty good level. Of course, you've just got the basic up and down cut right here. On the elbow, we just have a hinge, so we can go up and down. And there is a swivel, so it can go around. Now, it's worth noting, though, that much like the other Turtles, there is no cut at the wrist. So, unfortunately, that's a real detractor, especially with a character that has swords. Very hard to get some of those sword battle poses without that certain point of articulation. There's no waist swivel, unfortunately, so no cut right there. Of course, there's a pretty good range of motion with the head. There's not really any up and down movement, just like a slight bit, but that's it. And I think that's just because of the construction, so you can really only go left or right, which is kind of a shame. Down here at the feet, we have a hinge that allows the legs to go up and down. However, Leonardo probably has the very most restrictive kind of, covering down here, so it really prevents him from being able to get much movement. As you can see, this is all you can get. So you've really got to use you really got to use the knee hinge to really get like a good kick, and then it looks unnatural because this thing's curved way up. So that's kind of an issue. Like I said, we got a hinge right here at the knee, and there's also a swivel. And that's it. Unfortunately, there is no ankle hinge. So the Turtles have kind of bare bones articulation, which is a little surprising considering that in the past, Playmates seems to pour all the articulation into the Turtles and none on the secondary characters. And here we kind of have the opposite situation. Secondary characters get a little more articulation than the Turtles, at least when it comes to the Foot Soldier and Shredder.
As you can see, Leonardo features a pretty dynamite sculpt. He's a very elaborate design in the film, and the action figure certainly reflects that. You can see that there's no expense spared when it comes to packing on a lot of textures and very cool patterns. He has some like bamboo reed armor sculpted on his chest, which to me reminds me of the armor that the Lost Boys wear in Hook. I know that's a funny reference, but that's exactly what it looks like. The back of the shell, actually, the scabbards for the swords come off. The back of the shell is really nicked up. They're all, distinct, but his is kind of the most scarred up and pockmarked. It's not painted on, unfortunately. A little bit of like black detail or like a tan detail would have been cool, but the sculpting's there, so that's terrific. And then all the like fabric lines are sculpted in his hip covering here, and it's done very well. Again, it's just one color, but the sculpting is so nice. I can forgive the absence of color. There's some funny, like bandages wrapped around his legs here, and little harnesses and things that aren't painted. So there's like sculpted detail that's just green, his skin tone, which comes off a little funny. But again, they're surrounded by things that are painted, so it's hard. Except, especially on this side, you see there's a bandage that wraps around that's green, and it just doesn't quite look right. But he has plenty of paint apps, so. That's all right, but we'll talk about the paint a little bit later. And of course, like the other Turtles, he has shoes, and his are sculpted very nicely. You can see they completely cover his feet, so he doesn't have any exposed toes like Michelangelo. But you see his boots are sculpted with the sort of ties on them, and then he's got like a boot pattern on the bottom too. The head, like the other Turtles, is really well done because the mask is made out of a separate material and sculpted separately, so it really gives a distinct look. Really comes off the face sculpt. It doesn't look flat, so it gives it a little bit of a realism as a mask. The accessories are sculpted very well. He comes with 3 technically because you can remove the scabbard. Like I said, it's actually packaged separately, but they're like Splinter. You can see a lot of cool. See if I can get it focus there. A lot of cool Japanese lettering, or lettering that appears to be Japanese. I can't read it, so I can't tell you for sure if it's authentic, but it's really well done. The blades are very plain, but the handles are very well sculpted.
As for paint, Leonardo has some really great paint work, and a lot of it depends on which sample you get, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Right off the bat, you can see Leonardo has some extremely impressive paint work right here on the chest. Now, we talked a little bit about this bamboo kind of armor he has going on here, and as you can see, this is some very intricate paint detail that they've done, and it is amazing that it's not off track or sloppy hardly at all. There's only just a few points on the bamboo armor that they didn't get, mostly on this side. But other than that, I mean, goodness, they just hit it right on the head, exactly where the paint needed to be. Very impressive. The one thing is that some of the samples that we saw, the paint was not nearly this good. So the quality is going to vary, and you want to definitely be selective and be looking at the armor when you're out actually looking at samples on these things. Much like the other turtles, there's these bandages on their hands, which are painted very nicely. There's these little coverings that are under the bandages that did not get paint application, but that's all right. We got some shoulder pads, which in the artwork on the packaging are actually shown to be blue. I have a feeling they're actually gray in the film. I doubt they probably put that much blue on Leonardo. Also, we have this. This just appears to be molded plastic, so there's a belt buckle here that's left unpainted. Down here we got a little bit of blue paint applications with this covering here. My favorite paint applications on the whole figure, maybe besides the bamboo, would have to be right here on the shoes. It is amazing just how much detail they were able to paint, and paint very accurately without any kind of drift from where it needs to be. It's not off track. They painted these sort of bandages all over the boots, this outline. Really impressive stuff. I mean, it looks great. That kind of detail doesn't really continue to the back, as you can see, but still, just from the front, I mean, it's very, very nice, and it makes a big impression. The problems and the criticisms in this figure all happen right up here. As you can see, the kind of the tassels on his bandana are just floating out in space, almost like he is perpetually doing this with his head.
He's standing in front of a fan.
Yeah, there's a fan blowing through here. That's really, really distracting. One of the other big problems can only be seen if you turn him over to the side here. As you can see, look at this gap. Clearly the head, the ball joint should have went in a little bit deeper. And instead, you're left with this big gap out here, which then makes his head look a little too big for the rest of his body and makes his neck seem just a little bit too long. I almost feel like they put the scarf on here, even though, it's a design thing in the movie. It's almost like they're trying to alleviate the problem a little bit. As you can see, if I pop this off and I remove the scarf, which is totally possible, the problem becomes even worse because then there's no scarf to kind of hide that inadequacy. So as you can see, he's got a super long neck doing it like this. It also kind of makes the head stick out too far, which makes him seem a little too hunchbacked for a character that should be in a more heroic pose like Leonardo. So unfortunately, that's the trouble that Leonardo gets into, and because of it, to me, he doesn't display as well as the other turtles.
Okay, for comparison, we brought out the other Leonardo movie action figures. Here he is with the original movie star Leonardo from Secret of the Ooze. And, there definitely is a kinship between these two figures, and it's not just because they're Leonardo, there's a little similarity in the materials used, and in Leonardo's case, you can see that the tone of green on the plastic is actually almost identical. So, they're a really good match with each other. And again, as we'll mention in the other turtle reviews, it's always funny to see the scale shift. How much shorter these vintage figures from the early 90s are compared to these brand new figures. And speaking of scale shift, the more interesting comparison is the Leonardo from the 2007 film with his head cut off. We'll hunker him down here so you can see him a little better. But of course, if you've been collecting turtles for a long time, you know that it was kind of for the fans, for the collectors, a controversial choice to up the scale so much for the 2007 movie. So I liked the figures a lot, but I never liked that they were so much larger. They weren't really compatible with anything. But again, they went from being as short as movie star Leonardo to much really kind of too tall to I think this is a happy median, and this is a very good scale for both kids and collectors.
Alright folks, so that was the leader slash sort of leader slash maybe leader of the Ninja Turtles, Leonardo.
I'm not sure if this figure is good enough to be the leader of anything, but yeah, he'll do he might not be a great leader, but he'll do the job.
like we said, this figure's got a lot of good qualities, but some not so great qualities.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's very movie accurate based on what we've seen of Leonardo and the trailers and TV spots so far. It's a good representation, so I can't fault him from a design standpoint, but just a couple of bits of execution that really could have helped him out a lot.
So if you're looking for the turtle maybe to pick up last, if you've got to buy these one by one, we know there's a lot of people in that situation. Leonardo, you don't have to get him right away.
I don't really think Leonardo's anybody's favorite either. Do you? Like, do you know anybody who's...
No, nobody's favorite's Leonardo. If Leonardo is your favorite, please leave it in the comments below.
Yes, we would.
Let us know so we can accost you.
We're not knocking. We like Leonardo, just fine. We just don't like.
He's kind of a prude.
Yeah.
But
he's a little stiff, and the design reflects that very well.
Raphael was my favorite turtle as a kid.
And
he still is.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, he's all right. Pretty good little figure. Lots of paint applications. So pretty cool.
Yeah,
I think you'll enjoy him.
And kids will still like him no matter what.
He's definitely three-star figure, I'd say.
Yeah, absolutely 3 out of 5.
Just 3 out of 5.
Right at the average. Just a little better than average.
Good figure.
Not the worst by far.
You'll really enjoy him.
Absolutely.
So rate, comment, subscribe. And remember, guys, follow Splinter's direct orders and get this one if you want.
And of course, check out the rest of our Ninja Turtles video reviews. If they're not uploaded now, they'll be uploaded soon. So thanks again for watching.
They're all going to be right here. And guess what?
Yeah,
they're not going to be. I'm not going to take the time to
maybe
put them
they're
there. But hey, maybe they're over here on the side. Maybe they're on this side. Who knows?
Who knows? Just click on our channel and check that out, and lots of other cool stuff for that matter. And if you like Ninja Turtles, I'm sure you like Batman and all those other kind of things. So you'll find something you enjoy. I guarantee it.
You betcha. Take care. See ya.